Welcome back to the Undeserved Flavor. Come along with me for a ride. Quick little video today. I know it's been a while since I put a video up, but I've been meaning to get one going. Just got too much going on, such is life. So I heard a few new near-death experience testimonials as of late, and I just heard a quote today, and I'm like, man, I should put a video up just about that, just that quote. And that is, life is a classroom, not a courtroom. I know I could elaborate on that a little bit, but it probably doesn't take much. That could stand on its own. I know not all of life is a classroom. Life is largely an experience. But life, we're here to learn and experience. Learn and experience. Inside of that, we participate in the simple fact that we're breathing air. So what's the purpose of life? I mean, is that all there is to it? I mean, it sounds kind of hollow, right? Well, no, not at all. That's where the gospel comes in. The greatest news to ever hit the planet. That we're not alone. We have a Father. We have a good Father. We're all family. So the whole point of the whole life is a classroom, not a courtroom. The reason that kind of struck a chord with me is because where I come from, life is a courtroom. You know, being a very legalistic Protestant Christian, you know, where you're constantly wondering, you know, if there's a demon behind every tree, and if so-and-so is backsliding, you know, it's like, that's not life. That's not the point, you know. The point of life, you know, as cliche as it, or maybe cliche is not the right way to say it. Whatever the term is for, you know, live, laugh, love. You know, like we're here to enjoy the experience. Now, obviously that's easier said than done, because for a lot of us, our experience is just straight up one trauma after another, you know, from our childhood through death, you know, or, I mean, heck, some kids don't even make it to adulthood. I mean, like, life is hard for a lot of people, and that's an understatement. For a lot of people, life is a freaking breeze. Born with a silver spoon in their mouth, just living, loving every day, you know, and it's just awesome till the day they die. Good for them. At the end of the day, what do we all have in common? We're all learning and we're all experiencing. And we're all learning something different. So why are we trying to box ourselves into one religion or one set of fundamental rules or life guidelines? I know there are some universal truths, you know, like a universal moral system that actually works for everyone, like thou shalt not kill. You know what I mean? Like the Ten Commandments are pretty, you know, universal in their wisdom. But aside from that, like, we're not all the same. We're not all on the same journey. The whole concept of Christianity post-Reformation, that like our every dying breath should be turn or burn, get right or get left, you know, get saved from hell. That's just delusional. It's totally delusional. It's very self-centered. It's very self-focused. And it's absolutely the opposite, I think, of what Christ came to portray in his example. It was absolutely selfless, and not only what he taught, but ultimately what he did. It wasn't about him, you know. It was from fasting to running around like healing and setting people free to dying on the cross. He did nothing for himself. That's the point of Christianity. And yeah, anyway, I'm kind of getting off track. I'm going to just drop where I'm at right there and kind of get back to the point. Life is a classroom, not a courtroom. We learn and we experience. Now, you can take that for what it is. Take what I'm saying. If you got questions or comments, throw it down below. If I have time, I will absolutely get to them. By that, I should say, I will get to them when I have time. I do what I can here. This is not a paid job. And I ain't trying to put out the collection plate either. So I do this because I feel a little bit of an obligation, because this information came to me. I was graced with this information, blessed with this information. I don't enjoy arguing, even though for some reason my personality has one of those traits, that is very argumentative. I enjoy the art of persuasion. But when it comes to religious crap, theology, that kind of stuff, I've been through it enough to know there's no point in arguing with anybody about what you believe. Now, we can get into it, and I'm not saying I won't do it. I just don't really care to, because I understand one big thing, and that is nobody could have convinced me to believe what I believe now, coming from where I came from. It had to come from within, and that's how it came. Just one day, sitting in the truck, I'm believing one thing, and the next minute I'm like, boom, epiphany moment. It wasn't some big, glorious, supernatural, spiritual, mystical thing, but on paper, it really actually was, because my whole schema, my whole reality, my whole perspective of reality, I should say, completely shifted from something to something completely different. I began seeing the ancient texts that we refer to as the Bible from a universal standpoint, universalist standpoint. And then as I jumped on that journey of trying to figure out I'm not crazy and see if anybody else believes the way I believe, I found that a lot of people believe that way, and a lot of people have come to this knowledge the same way I came to it, literally on their own, by revelation. And a lot of people are, I'm talking like world-renowned scholars, Baptist pastor of some odd 35 years, all of a sudden now is a Universalist Eastern Orthodox, or mega church pastor, mega church charismatic pastor leaves his church and high-paying job as a pastor because he's a universalist. He's discovered, whether he discovered it or God dropped it on him doesn't really matter in this conversation. The point is, we're all we're all heading in the same direction, but we're all on our own journey. That is truth seekers, or that is people that, take interest in this topic, I guess. Not everybody cares about this topic, obviously. But, I think the whole point of the gospel, it's not about, quote unquote, saving souls. It's not about populating heaven and depopulating hell. That's a very recent philosophy as of this past couple hundred years. The whole idea of the rapture was invented in the early 1800s. Obviously you can make the Bible say whatever you want it to say, and now that you believe something, even though it was, invented within 100 years or 200 years, you can go to the Bible and try and figure out how to make it agree with you. You can twist the scriptures around to make it agree with whatever you want. Look at how many denominations we have. 43, 44, 50, some odd thousand denominations of Christianity that will not agree with one another on very fundamental tenets of the religion. So what's the point of arguing? Like, why don't we just step on up and go to the next level? Move on. No, that's easier said than done. Like I said, you can't argue someone into it. You can't convince somebody. One of my favorite scriptures, while we're talking about scriptures, was Paul talking about how he did not come with the persuasive words of men, but he came and displayed the power of God, so that the people who were coming to the knowledge of Christ, or hearing the gospel and coming to the knowledge of God, so their faith wouldn't be in the persuasive words and convincing words of man. He didn't come there to argue. He came there to put God on display, put the character and nature of God on display. And their faith is going to be in God when they see God move. You know, obviously there's going to be the challenge, the never-ending human flaw is to put the person on the pedestal, you know, like worship the man, not the God in the man, you know. So I think that's kind of largely why we have pop Christianity the way we have it today. You know, one guy up on stage, you know, wearing the latest trends, talking in the latest pop lingo, whatever it is, you know, trying to stay hip and cool with the up and coming generation, yet still trying to remain relevant to the older generation who pays the bills. You know, so that's not church. I mean, I'm not dogging anybody for the way they do church. You know, you do you. I will say, I will call you out if you're running a freaking Ponzi scheme. But outside of that, I mean, a lot of churches do a lot of good. You know, I mean, there's times where I can definitely point a finger at some churches that are causing some trauma as opposed to bringing hope, you know, and that's a lot of the more fundamentalist churches, you know, that would spend more energy on convincing kids on the reality of eternal hell and what'll come of their soul if they choose to reject Jesus, you know, and they're going to fry in their own fat forever and ever and ever. And it's too late for their grandma. She never accepted Christ. You know, it's too late for Uncle Joe. He was a good guy, but you know, he just never could buy into that Christianity thing. Just got to my destination here, so I'm gonna have to let y'all go for a little bit, and I think I may have forgot the reason I came here. By that I mean I was supposed to bring something with me to exchange. Oh, lovely. Gotta love when that happens. Well, spend some more hours on the road. Anyway, I'll wrap it up here. The whole point of this video ultimately was just to get back on the YouTube algorithm. I haven't posted in a while, such is life. Hope you liked it. Hit that like button if you would. Hit the subscribe if you want to see more. I'm going to be posting more videos about, you know, Christian universalism in general, from various angles. And yeah, stick around. I mean, we're not a very huge community, and we're definitely not a very well-rounded community in terms of having a Christian Universalist 101 to turn to for all of our answers. We're figuring this out as we go, largely, you know, but I think that's what life is all about. So anyway, drop a like, drop a comment, hit that subscribe, hit the bell, all that fun YouTube stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. Taste and see that the Lord is good.